want you to take a look at something. This is a regular plastic water bottle. You've already used one today, or you're probably holding one right now. Now, here's the questions I want you to sit with. What if every time you took a sip from this water bottle, you weren't just drinking water? What if you were also drinking thousands of microscopic plastic particles? Particles so small, they've already crossed into your bloodstreams, your lungs, and your brain. That's not a hypothetical, and that's not a science fiction. That's what the research is telling us right now. Because plastic didn't end up inside our body by accident. It ended up there by a system. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fathimah Nabila Anantha, and today I'm going to tell you about microplastics. So let's start with the basic. What are microplastics? So microplastics are plastic particles smaller than 5 millimeters, somewhat the size of a grain of sand. Some called nanoplastics are so small you need an electron microscope to see them. Now you're probably thinking, where do they come from? It's in every plastic product you've ever used. You name it. Bottles, bags, packaging, synthetic clothing. Not into something safe, not into something that disappears, just into smaller and smaller pieces of plastics. And those pieces ended up everywhere, in our oceans, in our soil, or in the air we breathe. A 2021 study found microplastic raining down from the sky in the Pyrenees Mountains, one of the most remote, pristine places in the Europe. There is no corner in this earth that hasn't been touched by a plastic or a plastic pollution. But here's the thing, that's not even the most alarming part. The most alarming part is what's happening inside us. In 2022, researchers from one of the universities in Amsterdam did something unprecedented. They took blood samples from 2022 healthy, anonymous donors, ordinary people, and tested them for microplastics. And guess what? 17 out of 2022 came back positive. Plastics in human blood flowing through arteries and veins. And it doesn't stop at the blood. A study published in the journal Environmental Health Perspective found microplastics in human lung tissue, deep in the lung where the air we breathe ends up. Another study published in 2024 detected microplastic in arterial plaque, the buildup inside blood vessels that leads to heart attacks and strokes. People with microplastics in their plaque had a 4.5 times higher risk of a major cardiovascular event. And perhaps most alarming of all, a 2023 study found microplastics in human brain tissue. Let that sink in. Particles of plastic inside the human brain. We don't know yet what they're actually doing there, but they're there, and they shouldn't be. Now you might be thinking, okay, they're in my body, but are they actually harmful? And the honest answer is the researchers are still learning. But what they already know is deeply concerning. First, chemical leaching. Plastic are not pure. They contain hundreds of chemical additives. Things like PFAS added to make plastic more flexible, durable, or colorful. These chemicals are known endocrine disruptors, meaning they interfere with our hormones. They can mimic estrogen. They can disrupt thyroid functions. Studies link them to reproductive issues, developmental problem in children, and increased cancer risk. When plastic particles enter your body, they bring these chemicals with them. And inside the warm environment of your body, some of those chemicals can leach out. Second, inflammation. Your immune system doesn't know what to do with plastic. It wasn't designed for this. So when microplastic enter your tissues, your body launches an inflammatory response, treating the particles like a foreign invader. Chronic inflammation is the root cause of a long list of serious diseases. For example, like heart disease, diabetes, or Alzheimer's. The third one is gut microbiome disruption. We know that your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, plays a critical role in your immune systems, your mental health, even your weight. Recent studies show that microplastics alter the composition of the gut microbiome in ways we don't fully understand yet. And here's the part that should really give us pause. A 2024 study from the University of New Mexico found that human brains collected in 2024 contain significantly more plastics than brain collected just 8 years earlier. In 8 years, our brains have accumulated more plastics. We are not consuming plastic, but we're becoming plastic. So how is it getting in? It is in almost every way you can imagine. We're eating it. The average person consumes roughly 5 grams of microplastic per week. That's the equivalent of a credit card's worth of plastic every single week. It is in seafood, in salt, in honey, in bottled water, and in fact, bottled water contains up to 90 times more microplastic than tap water. We're drinking it. Studies show that boiling and filtering tap water can remove up to 90% of the microplastic in it, but most of us don't do that. We're breathing it. Synthetic fabrics like polyester, nylon, fleece shed microfibers with every wash. Those fibers escape our drains and float into the air. Every time you do laundry, open up your dryer, or even just sit in a room full of people wearing synthetic clothes, you're inhaling plastic. We're absorbing it to our skin. Certain personal care products, cosmetics, and exfoliates contains microplastic intentionally. And here's the thing that companies and governments have been slow to tell you. There is currently no regulations in most countries on the allowable level of microplastics in food, water, or consumer products. None. We regulate pesticide residue in food, we regulate lead in paint, we regulate arsenic in drinking water, but microplastics, the substance now found in human blood and human brains, still largely unregulated. I know some of you might be thinking, this sounds crazy, but humans have survived lots of scary things. Why should I panic? Now, I'm here to clear this up. I'm not here to make you panic, but I'm here to make you uncomfortable enough to act. Because here's the thing about microplastic. Unlike many environmental problems, this one is accelerating. Global plastic production was 2 million tons in 1950. But in 2023, it was 430 million tons per year, and we recycle less than 10% of all the plastic ever produced. The rest is still out there, still breaking down, still getting smaller, and still finding its way into us. The plastic that's already inside our body, you cannot remove it. It cannot be detoxed, or it cannot be flushed out. There is no treatment. So what we can do about it is we are stopped more from getting in. So what do we do with this information? Here's the 3 levels of actions, because changes has to happen at all 3 levels. Level 1 is personal choices. Switch to a reusable water bottle, glass, or stainless bottle. This single changes can reduce your microplastic intake significantly. When you heat food, don't use plastic containers. Use glass or ceramic. Heat dramatically accelerates chemical leaching. Filter your tap water. A simple activated carbon filter can remove a meaningful portion of microplastic. Wash synthetic clothes less frequently. When you do, use a microfiber catching laundry bag. And these are imperfect solutions, but they reduce your exposure and they matter. Level 2 is consumer pressure. We have the power to shift markets. The reason companies use plastic is because it's cheap and because we keep buying product package in it. Support brands that use sustainable packaging. Ask questions, make noise. We enough consumer demand change and the market moves. We've seen it happens with trans fats, with lead in gasoline, with single-use straws in some countries, and market response to pressure. Level 3, system level change, and this is where I want to speak to anybody. We are industrial engineers, a student, or a training to become one. We are people who design production processes, who build supply chains, who sit at a table when decisions about materials, packaging, and manufacturing are made. The transition away from single-use plastic doesn't happen without engineers who understand both the technical constraints and the urgency. Biodegradable alternatives, closed-loop recycle systems, redesigning packaging. These are engineering problems, and they need people like us to solve them. In 2024, the United Nations drafting a global plastic treaty, first of its kind, and it's imperfect. It's being fought by the plastic industry, but it exists because enough people demanded it. Your expertise and your voice is part of that. We didn't choose this. No one asked to have plastic in their bloods. No one signed up to have microplastic in their brains. This happens because decisions were made decades ago by a company who seems to want to raise a profit, or a government who look the other way. But we are here now, and we know what we know, and that changes things. Because here's what I believe about a human being. We are capable of doing extraordinary things when we know what at stakes. We have been solved so many problems that seems to be impossible. And microplastics are not impossible, but they cannot solve themselves, and they cannot be solved by a people who don't understand the system. The plastic's already inside us. The question is, what are we gonna do about it? Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.